You went to bed at a reasonable hour. You closed your eyes, and then nothing. Your brain just switched on like someone flipped a light switch. Thoughts racing, body restless, staring at the ceiling like it owes you answers. And here's the cruel part. You're absolutely exhausted. Like bone deep, can barely function exhausted. So why won't your brain just let you sleep? This is one of the most frustrating experiences a human being can have. And it's more common than you think. An estimated 70 million Americans deal with some form of chronic sleep problem right now. But here's what nobody tells you. The exhaustion and the inability to sleep aren't opposites. They're actually caused by the same broken system. And once you understand that system at the biological level, everything starts to make sense. So stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through is the actual science behind why this happens. Not the generic, put your phone down advice you've already heard 1,000 times. The real mechanism, the brain chemistry, the hidden conflict happening inside your nervous system every single night. By the end of this video, you'll finally understand why your body feels this way, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's explore this right now. Let's start with the most important thing you need to understand about sleep. Your brain runs on two completely separate systems to control when you sleep and when you wake up. Think of them as two forces pulling in opposite directions, and your ability to fall asleep depends entirely on which one wins. The first system is called sleep pressure, or in scientific terms, adenosine accumulation. Here's how it works. From the moment you wake up in the morning, your brain starts building up a chemical called adenosine. Every hour you're awake, more adenosine floods your brain. The longer you're awake, the heavier that chemical pressure gets. That's what creates the sensation of feeling tired. It's literally your brain being chemically weighted down by adenosine. Point: by the time you've been awake for 16 hours, adenosine levels are extremely high. That's the sleepy feeling you get around 10 or 11 p.m. if you woke up at 7 a.m. Now, the second system is your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour biological clock. This clock controls almost everything in your body: your body temperature, your hormone levels, your digestion, your mood, and critically, your alertness. Around the time you'd normally go to sleep, your circadian clock triggers a surge of a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin doesn't knock you out. That's a huge misconception. What it does is signal to your brain and body, darkness is here. It's time to prepare for sleep. So when everything works correctly, these two systems sync up beautifully. High adenosine says you're tired, and the circadian clock says it's the right time. Sleep happens easily, naturally, deeply. But here's what most people completely miss. When these two systems fall out of sync, everything breaks. and modern life is almost perfectly designed to break them. That mismatch, that internal civil war between tiredness and alertness, is exactly why you end up lying awake exhausted. And because of that, understanding what disrupts these systems becomes everything. So let's talk about the thing that's likely wrecking your sleep every single night without you even realizing it: cortisol. You probably know cortisol as the stress hormone. And yes, when you're anxious or stressed, cortisol spikes. But here's the part that's actually wild. Cortisol is also a powerful alerting signal. In fact, in a healthy sleep cycle, cortisol naturally peaks in the early morning, around 6 to 8 a.m., to wake you up and get you moving. It's your body's built-in alarm clock. The problem is, when you're chronically stressed, cortisol doesn't stay in the morning where it belongs. It creeps into your evening. It stays elevated when your body should be calming down. And elevated cortisol at night does something extremely specific. It suppresses melatonin production and activates your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight mode. This is crazy. Your body is simultaneously exhausted from high adenosine and biologically wired awake by high cortisol. That's the exact conflict you feel when you lie down and your brain starts racing. You're not imagining it. You're not broken. You're experiencing a real, measurable neurochemical battle happening inside your own skull. Now, stress isn't the only thing that spikes cortisol at night. Screen exposure does it too. Blue light from your phone or laptop suppresses melatonin by up to 50% and elevates cortisol. Even 30 minutes of exposure after dark can delay your sleep onset by 90 minutes or more. Intense exercise after 8 p.m. does it. Even a heated argument or a stressful email before bed can flood your system with cortisol and keep you wired for hours. So, you've got adenosine building up all day, making you feel exhausted, and cortisol keeping your brain on high alert all evening. That's the trap. And here's where the sleep deprivation effects start compounding in ways most people don't fully appreciate. When you consistently fail to fall asleep despite being tired, or when you fall asleep but your sleep is fragmented and shallow, your brain doesn't get to complete its essential nightly maintenance. Let me walk you through what actually happens during normal sleep, because this is where it gets really important. Your brain cycles through sleep stages roughly every 90 minutes. Each cycle includes lighter stages, REM sleep, which is where dreaming and emotional processing happen, and deep slow-wave sleep, which is where physical recovery and memory consolidation happen. Here's the critical detail most people don't know. Deep slow-wave sleep is front-loaded in the night. You get the majority of it in the first half of your sleep window. REM sleep is backloaded. You get most of it in the second half, especially in the hours just before you naturally wake up. So if you're only getting 5 or 6 hours instead of 7 or 8, you're not losing sleep evenly. You're disproportionately cutting off your REM sleep, the stage responsible for emotional regulation, creativity, and psychological recovery. And the sleep deprivation effects of consistently losing REM are devastating. Here's what the research actually shows. After just one night of poor sleep, your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, becomes 60% more reactive. That means you're more anxious, more irritable, and more likely to catastrophize even minor problems. After several nights, your prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making part of your brain, starts to go offline. Your judgment deteriorates, your impulse control weakens. After 1 week of getting 6 hours per night instead of 8, cognitive impairment equivalent to 24 hours of total sleep deprivation accumulates in your system. And here's the part that will genuinely surprise you. You stop feeling how impaired you are. Your subjective sense of sleepiness plateaus. You think you've adopted. But objectively, your performance keeps declining. This is why exhausted people often insist they feel fine. They're not fine. Their brains have simply lost the ability to accurately measure how impaired they are. But here's what gets even more interesting. There's another reason you might be waking up at 3 a.m. specifically, and it's not random. Remember cortisol naturally peaks in the early morning? For people under chronic stress, that cortisol spike can happen too early, sometimes as early as 3 or 4 a.m. Your brain reads it as time to wake up, even though it's the middle of the night. Combined with the fact that your REM sleep is peaking at that time, which is a lighter, more fragile sleep stage, and you have the perfect biological storm for that classic, infuriating 3 a.m. awakening. Your mind immediately jumps to problems, worries, plans. And once cortisol and anxious thoughts are both activated, falling back asleep becomes incredibly difficult. P.S. This is not insomnia in the classical sense. It's hyperarousal dysregulation, and it responds very well to specific interventions once you understand it. So, what actually breaks this cycle? The single most powerful thing you can do is to re-anchor your circadian rhythm with light. Seriously speaking, this is the highest leverage intervention in all of sleep science. Get bright light exposure within 30 minutes of waking up. Sunlight is ideal. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is 10 to 50 times more powerful than indoor lighting. If you absolutely can't go outside, a 10,000 lux light therapy lamp positioned at eye level works extremely well. This morning light spike does 2 things simultaneously. First, it sets your cortisol peak at the right time, early morning, where it belongs. Second, it programs your circadian clock to trigger melatonin 14 to 16 hours later, right when you want to fall asleep. You're essentially giving your biology a precise daily reset. And because of that single habit, every other part of your sleep system starts falling back into alignment. Now, to address the cortisol at night problem, you need to create what I call a neurological transition window, a 60 to 90-minute period before bed where you deliberately downregulate your nervous system. This means no screens, no stressful content, no intense decision-making. It means dim lighting, warm, low, calm. It means activities that activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Slow breathing, light stretching, reading fiction, taking a warm shower. Did you know that a warm shower or bath before bed actually lowers your core body temperature as your blood rushes to the surface? And dropping core body temperature is one of the key biological triggers for sleep onset. Your body needs to drop about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit to initiate deep sleep. So that warm shower is doing real physiological work. It's not just relaxing, it's triggering the thermal drop your body needs. Remember that consistency is what makes all of this work. Your circadian system thrives on predictability. Waking up at the same time every single day, including weekends, is the single most stabilizing thing you can do for your entire sleep architecture. It keeps adenosine building on schedule. It keeps cortisol and melatonin peaking at the right times. It eliminates the social jet lag that most people unknowingly inflict on themselves every single week by sleeping in on Saturday and Sunday. The reality is, your brain is not fighting you. It's running programs that were designed millions of years ago for a very different world. For a very different world. Your job is to give it the right signals: light, timing, temperature, and calm. So those ancient programs run exactly the way they were meant to. Now you understand the real reason you're exhausted but can't sleep. It's not weakness. It's not bad luck. It's two biological systems pulling in opposite directions. And now you know exactly how to bring them back into sync. If this video finally gave you that aha moment you've been looking for, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this kind of science-based content reach more people who need it. And if you want to go even deeper, if you want to understand the full architecture of your sleep cycles and exactly how to optimize every stage, I've put together a complete breakdown in the next video in this playlist. We go into REM sleep, deep sleep, and the specific things you can do to dramatically increase the quality of both. Click it now. It's the logical next step, and I think you're going to find it incredibly useful. And if you're new here, welcome to the Sleep Method. Every week, we break down the cutting-edge science of sleep into clear, actionable protocols you can use tonight. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. I'll see you in the next one.